So currently, my wife is pregnant. We're expecting twins. They're going to be
Ah,
expecting in October. So
Okay.
congratulations.
that's going to be like a call baby moon. So just go away 3 weeks
Yeah,
before the world will change.
yeah, nice.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Very good.
The
Well,
house I'm in now, we're with our friends who have 4-year-old twin girls. So yeah, twins are interesting.
Yes,
kids
definitely.
everywhere then.
Are they
Life,
your first?
yes, the first. So life is about to change.
Nice. Yeah, yeah.
Boys or girls, Marco?
Two boys.
Okay.
Oh, amazing.
I don't know if that would
Nice.
make it harder to do name selection or easier. Easier because you don't have to choose between the final two names.
You're listening to the Offsite Podcast with Jason and Carlos, where we talk all things construction and technology.
Join us for discussions with industry leaders and insights into the latest trends in construction.
Welcome back to the Offsite Podcast. Jason, how are you doing?
I'm very good, Carlos. How are you?
I'm all good, thanks. I'm in a bit of a different setting today, away down in France. But the sound, internet, and everything seems to be okay, much better than what I usually
Yeah, you
have
look like
at
you
home.
look relaxed and decompressed. So you must be doing something. You must be doing something right.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure. Well, I was reflecting before I dialed into this call about how different this week and next week might be for me. I've just flown back in from Melbourne after traveling down there for a day, and last night got to go out to quite a nice dinner with some folks I used to work with about 10 or so years ago. So
Oh, wow.
got to have a nice meal, something to drink, relaxing, chatting, talking about old war stories. And this time next week, I'm likely to be elbow deep in shit-filled nappies.
Yeah. Yeah, and takeaways. I was going to say Deliveroo, but it's a DoorDash you have over there. That would be
Yeah, something. I don't know, whatever the baby eats.
yeah. So you dusted off the old nappy bin and everything and got it all. You're all ready to rock.
I don't know if you've ever seen a used nappy bin before, but I don't think dusting it off is going to suffice. I've pressure washed it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Some nuclear cleaning equipment is what we've done.
Yeah, a bit of bleach. We're good.
Yeah, exactly.
Good stuff. Yeah, and we're going to have Mike back filling in for an episode or two while you're gone. So, yeah, I'm sure he's excited about that.
He can take it. It's all his.
Good stuff. So, today we're going to be digging into the world of reality capture on construction sites. We're going to explore how these tools sort of claim to enhance accuracy and detail of site documentation, improve communication amongst stakeholders, save time, reduce costs, enable precise progress tracking, a nice wish list of benefits from these sorts of tools. We'll also sort of cover some of the tools that are leading the way in the market. And to help us shed some light on this, we are thrilled to have Marco Bonelli join us on the podcast. He is currently the VP of Digital Delivery at Sektor.build. They are a sort of a deployment partner who help contractors bring on and embed technology such as reality capture. Marco can probably explain that one a bit better than I have. And Marco was also previously BIM and technology lead at contractors like Vinci and Cisc. So he has real world experience of how tools are actually embedded and used within these organizations. So Marco, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Jason, for having me. It's a pleasure. Love to be here. Thanks for the great introduction.
I'm very excited to talk about this topic. It's something that I talk about in internal meetings every week because I'm just genuinely interested from a technological perspective. So, and then the people, when I talk about it in internal meetings, we don't have really any idea in the detail and in practice. So I'm excited to learn and discuss it.
Oh,
it's another tool to mean QSs don't have to go on site, so I'm sure they'll be interested to hear this.
Anything to get rid of QSs is right up my alley.
Yeah, 100%. So Marco, our audience is typically engineers, planners, project managers, construction leads on projects. I'm sure a lot of them have never used reality capture tools. So in a nutshell, what is reality capture?
Yeah, of course. So reality capture is one of the most hot technology currently across contact, probably with the start of the pandemic. And I will define the reality capture a system that will enable remote digital photographic record of the construction site. So if we want to have very simple, we can go after deep, but in a simple word, enable a digital structured photographic record as an equivalent of Google Street View, if we want to say, for our construction site, enabling remote site visit, allowing people that are not on site to reduce travel to site. We can watch on the laptop. You mentioned about QS going on site, so they can use the system to view the verification of some part of the site. Also, planning team helping them to view certain parts of the site. And I must say, after AI, that are the biggest hype in construction today, is one of the hottest topic about contact across all the industry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's the ultimate view. What is site right now? Let's have a look at it. As you say, Google Street Map. You can go on, you can navigate, and you can see what the story is at that point. As with any sort of new technology, there's this sort of curve of the technology advancing and people starting to use it. What's the ultimate end game? Like, what's the big vision of reality capture? Where do you think it will go?
Well, I would say that there are different way that reality capture can be used. From the simple one where we can have a simple progress recording, so replacing the manual photographic evidence that everyone working on site, everyone that's been on site goes around with the phone and taking pictures. So that can be the basic output and the most simple one of going very deep where we can leverage AI to automate the construction progress and tracking percentage of completion. So the machine learning and AI can tell wherever a certain part of the building has X percentage of completion and compare with the baseline program. So help the planners of monitoring the building, understanding, providing early warnings, and take specific action to avoid delays on the construction site. So I believe that would be a kind of ultimate use of how the AI can help, but also enhance inspection. So one of the biggest questions that we always been asked by clients is, when we take this picture, can now AI start to identify issues? Instead to be manually a construction manager identifies snags of observation, can AI identify issue on those pictures? I believe that is not there yet, but as an ultimate goal, that would definitely help the site team to automate inspection and be able to just get better quality, a better output for our construction site.
The first part of that, you mentioned obviously the progress updates, which we could potentially use for the planning and commercial side of things. Is that actually used now? So like, would we take a percentage complete and apply it to like a master schedule, or would we take a measure of progress and use it for a payment schedule? Or is it more of an indication to give you a gut feel whether your own assessment is correct?
Of course, there are some technologies that give you a progress in percentage of the current program. So the key elements is having a very good 3D models, detailed 3D models, so the AI machine can gather all the quantities needed. But for the next step about payment practice, about fully updating your construction program, that either in Asta or Primavera P6, of course, the manual intervention of the planner is fundamental. And what need to be wrapped around is the right process. We have seen many cases where the planner or the construction team didn't really trust the information coming from the tool. And I believe that is a key fundamental aspect. If there is not a process, an adoption process behind, whoever's going to use this new technology is not going to trust it and still going to go on site and double check if the information provided by AI is correct. And of course, the ultimate goal for this technology is not the one to replace the user, but the one to make them save times, be able to update the progress, and then check on the construction program, find some issues, and then work with the QS for payment practice. And if the QS receive an invoice for, I don't know, wood doors that's been installed, doesn't have to go on site, can simply check in a few seconds if those information are fully complete, and then process the payment, process the invoice. So I can see this system providing great aid for normal roles, and they can just limit the time in admin. So the goal is limit the admin time so they can be focused on the high value activities. So automate certain tasks that normally take a lot of time and they just admin work.
I'm going to warn about going straight into the weeds with my first question, Marco, but this area is like really interesting to me. So the idea of being able to automatically report back on percentage complete on an activity from a schedule. So you talked about the need for a detailed 3D model. that requires obviously some awareness of the types of meanings of the things that are in the schedule, the relationship of those things in the schedule to the model, and then the ability for the image or the photography to understand that it is that image and is that element in the schedule. What is the best practice workflow that you've seen in terms of how that kind of report of percentage complete makes its way back to the schedule? Is it something that's getting populated into a property in a schedule that someone's reviewing, or is it something that is supposed to go into another tool? What's the sort of workflow look like to make that thing become a reality?
So I've seen different cases. Of course, the control of the planner must always be ensured. So no construction site will ever have a full work if the planner doesn't fully control the program when we update the baseline against the construction active program. So the way that we have normally seen is having a structural process behind at day one on, that you're going to use this type of technology. So the full tree model developed in a certain way to ensure that key elements are available, and the rest is kind of taken by the AI technology. So the beauty of the system is there is not much manual intervention from the construction team to be able to set up the model against the progress. That is the AI machine learning technology that get the job behind. You only get the percentage because the wall from the 3 models you get the percentage of the quantity of cluster wall, and from the machine learning you get the percentage completion, what is today. Of course, the key element is what do you do then? You get some information on the reality capture platform, and the key is how this information they get feedback to your master program. As a best practice, I feel that there always must be a control. So once you receive the information from the reality capture, the planner goes and update the planner. I feel that an automatic update without the control will slip something away. So we have seen cases where the planner still wants to have to screen, you get an output, and the output that you get, you manually import the percentage on the reality capture, on the planning program, but that gives you a double entry of data. Or we have seen case where there is a full control where you have a full update where the planner has to update or reject the entry. So if you see that wall first floor are complete 50%, you do your review and you're happy with the data and you click accept, then you can go automatically update the percentage of your master schedule. So that still give you the control and feeling that the planner always has everything in control and nothing can slip away.
That acceptance workflow, that's something that sits outside of the schedule in the reality capture, or are you building a layer in between the two things for that acceptance?
There are different technologies that can help in that case. Each technology is different, and of course, someone use P6, someone use Astapor project or Microsoft Planner. So it depends on your technology. There have been some integration case we have seen, more of bespoke, where the data can flow from left to right. But normally when there is no direct integration, we see an output from the reality capture and then a manual update on the construction program.
Yeah.
But also we have seen case where the information kept on the reality capture, because it imports the master schedule, has been used as a unique source of truth. So it's going to be used that one to keep the information and not going back to other P6 or other planning programs.
Yeah, right. Okay.
In a more advanced team, it's in a more advanced team where the planner and the planning team is more advanced in technology. We have seen that is a good case where they don't use anymore the P6 as a day-to-day system to update program.
Yeah, okay. And then obviously when it comes to AI interpreting progress on site, there's probably certain things that are a lot easier to interpret than other things. So whether a door's installed or whether plaster's installed is probably easier to measure, and then things like whether cables installed. So what are the sorts of things that it's good at and sorts of things that it's not good at the moment in terms of measuring?
As you mentioned, they can be very small bespoke element that maybe the first time they got installed and the machine learning doesn't really understand what they are. So of course, for general elements like structure, plaster boards, walls, ceiling, general MEP equipment like ventilation ducts, air handling unit, windows, door. So those elements are really good. Initial electrical parts, so plugs, light switches, lighting fixture. So those one, the system is really good across different vendors to identify, because there is a big set of data on recognizing this element. Of course, if you go on a bespoke project, there could be something about a data center, or can be about or delivery of certain specific buildings, and there is a bespoke element that's not very common, there is less data set. That is where the system can give some gray area, but the system will allow that is not 100% secure about the element. So then it's going to be the wide use of the planner and the intervention is fundamental as a gatekeeper to understand and not apply blindly the information coming from AI.
Yeah, sound. And then I think most people that are familiar with the space would have heard of companies like OpenSpace. Who are the other leaders? Like, I know Drone Deploy has both the drone and the sort of walk around with the camera. What are the platforms that you're seeing broadest adoption of?
So yes, OpenSpace is one of probably the biggest one in this space, probably the first one that started. You mentioned Drone Deploy that acquired Struction Site in 22, I believe. I've seen Buildots, I've seen Disperse, QPix. Those are Reconstruct. Those are biggest platform across the area for 360. Oculo, very focused on UK market. So I would say that those are the top player currently in the market.
And what separates like the best from I guess the rest of the pack is the thing like the ease of use of the platform, or is it the thing like the AI capabilities? What's the big difference between, say, the leaders and the middle of the pack?
I will not say that there is what is the best and what is the worst in between all of them. The key element is understand which is the required outcome. So when you implement reality capture, you could just implementing for progress recording. So we have seen case where general contractor wanted to replace the manual photo taken by the site team and just using a more dynamic solution. Or use progress tracking, what we just talked about, update construction program. We can use it for enhanced inspection. So it depends which is your target. Each of them has a specific sweet spot, let's call it, to use technology. So the key element is making understand which is the key target, the why you want to implement reality capture.
How difficult is it to implement? So my oversimplified dumb brain, he's not very technical. Do you upload a model, grab the handheld stick and start lapping site each day so it captures the image? Or is it quite a implementation piece that comes with this?
So the day-to-day use of the platform is as simple as you described. So you upload a 3D model or a 2D plan to the GA plan, you grab the camera, make a click in your phone and start recording. So the system, all the system mentioned before, they use SLAM technology. That's the same one that Tesla used for the self-driving car. So they recognize object and they match the object against objects seen on the 3D model or on the plan. So column with the column. So they georeferentiate, they don't use GPS and be able to map against the plan. The other part about adoption is what do you do with the information? Because just simply capturing the site, that doesn't mean that the system get adopted. It's what do you do? How do you consume the data that get provided? And based on your initial target, there are different tasks. So, for example, there can be a case where it can be used to defend yourself against claims because you have a full photographic record about the information. So if just the site team goes around and capture the site, but no one ever viewed the information, there is not really a good adoption. So it's simple on site, but the most important part is understanding how this will fit within your current process. Can you update progress, or can you help enhance inspection, for example, with quality check form? And you can do while you're capturing, you can do after, and then start the collaboration process that normally happens. So I would say, for the day-to-day, it's very simple, but the biggest part is making sure that it's fully adopted across the standard process of a construction company or asset owner.
Yeah, so we were talking right at the start, Carlos talked about what's the big vision of what you could do once teams are starting to capture that data and there's more and more I guess integration and maybe the ability for AI to extract sort of structured data from there. There's obviously, I've seen a lot of conversation around things like obviously instead of people doing the laps at the site, robots and drones and those sorts of things. I've seen I think there was an announcement recently where Shepherd, the insurance startup from the UK, was offering some sort of discount arrangement with OpenSpace on the level of adoption of capture of their of their platform in terms of capturing site. What else is kind of out there in terms of long tail value for the people that are adopting and implementing reality capture on their projects?
So I really like the part about the insurance that you mentioned in the US. There was an article probably written a few days ago where insurance provider, I think, partner with OpenSpace. More you use the technology, more discount you can get on your premiums insurance. And that was an amazing part. Currently only seen US and not across the rest of Europe. And also you got seen about adoption. More if adopted, more the percentage discount. I would say as a long term, one of the key elements is about having a full record of what has been built. As you know, construction accounts for 30% about reworks and mistakes, but having a structural record that you can go back in time on what has been built, it gives you the serenity, the flexibility to understand if something has been done well or something has been not built correctly. So they can be either defend yourself from a claim, or if you have a leakage on the ceiling, before even going and breaking everything down, you can go and check what has been built so you can have a better idea and you can target the part that you can break the ceiling instead of just break everything up. So that helps in the long term. But also consider, especially in the UK, when we have the golden thread, especially on the fire information, having a structured photographic record. I feel and I strongly believe that nothing other than reality capture can provide the digital structured photographic evidence of what has been built. So helping on the golden thread, and especially on not on the design part, but on the build part, making sure that what has been built is up to specification, has been checked.
But I'm assuming that typically the customer of these tools is the contractor or the general contractor. Have you seen examples of, say, the client mandating these tools so they can use the data to check the records of the contractor, or even do things like, as you said, with AI on imagery, check the safety of the contractor things on site? Or is it all sort of contractor led at the moment?
Definitely the big hype started with general contractors, probably at the time of pandemic when remote visit was a must. And with all limitation of social distancing, we could have not gone on site. But now we have seen cases where asset owner has mandated the use of general contractor, or asset owner works with PMO or client representative. So they have their team in terms of client representative capturing the site to have a better understanding what's happened. So checking with the contractor, overall understanding how their money has been spent, and be able to have a better output in terms of collaboration. Another part that also been seen from the asset owner is they're going to be the one managing the building for the next 20, 30 years. So having a photographic record of what has been built and how can be updated in the future is definitely a high point. We have seen case where a high developer that works with offices mandate the use of reality capture since day one of construction. And because their office is going to be changed probably 30 times during the next 20 years, and new tenant comes, they update the office. Having this digital record every time, what has been updated, what was before, and having an handover when it's given to the new client, and when the tenant left, having another photographic record, it's becoming fundamental for the use of the asset owner. Also linking asset information, because you can now link, the handover manual in terms of link with your reality capture, becoming more dynamic. So yes, started with general contractor with AI, but now about subcontractor, PMO, and asset owners, everyone try to use this technology.
I can vouch for that. Having renovated this house that I'm in right now, I can't tell you the amount of times that we've gone to put a hole in a wall somewhere and had to hunt through mountains and mountains and mountains of photos trying to work out what was behind the wall. If only we'd done the reality capture at the time. Yeah, for sure.
I've done the same. I used before I had an account for the reality capture, and I renovated my house, so we almost tear it down, almost everything. And I used 360 camera, and I went around doing some capturing, and the local contractor was looking at me, so why are you capturing? Looking like an alien with the camera on my helmet.
Yeah.
But it definitely helped having control of the site.
Oh, for sure. We sometimes have to spend an hour trying to find this photo of a wall at a certain stage, and then realize we took photos both sides of it and not the spot that we actually need. It's
If I'm a local house builder and the customer starts doing reality capture, I'd probably be quite scared.
Yeah, you'd be
Yes,
very careful
finishing
about
up their project. Yeah, for sure.
Marco, do you see that if you take this idea of the reality capture as a source of record of the site, whether it eventually replaces or eats or maybe even supplements like a site diary for a contractor?
I've seen the benefit in certain parts, especially with more AI coming through and more information adding the supplement, of course, not replacing it, but aiding the population of and the filling up of the site diary can definitely help. Certain information about which activities has been taken today. If you have been around with your cameras and you have been recording the site, those can be certain information that can be linked, limiting the manual input and the admin time that we need. The site team that is overloaded about work needed to do. So definitely I see a great aid on the site diary to be able to be reduced down the admin time and use AI to fill up some information.
And so how much of that kind of integration are you kind of seeing, or do you think that is happening at the moment? We've talked about the idea of maybe to P6 or Asta, but sometimes it's kind of a manual update. What is the extent, and maybe you could have that coming across to a site diary platform. What's the extent of integration kind of happening at the moment? And is there still a long way to go with the depth of integration?
There is still some work to do, but I mean the biggest platform that really integrate well with reality capture, either Procore or Autodesk Construction Cloud. So they have a big integration with some of the big players mentioned before in terms of reality capture. And day by day, this type of integration is becoming bigger. So currently, you can all view the capture within your Procore system, for example, or link snags observation. So you reduce the double handling of information. So you start from your reality capture and you move them in your normal quality control process. But we have seen case where we try to bring about link on site diary. We see that the biggest opportunities with the PMCs or PMIS, like Procore, Autodesk, or other solution, Iconex, in terms of connecting this data. Because with many clients that we work today, one of the biggest question we ask is, okay, we are using this technology, but how do we link the observation that we are taking through a PMIS solution? I see the biggest opportunity and the biggest time saving and efficiency improvement connecting these two, other than with the planning solution when we do tracking monitoring.
And so I could definitely see the snagging and observations for sure being done. You do that natively in the reality capture product, and then that's populating over to a Autodesk or a Procore. What other things can you do natively that then, or would you see people doing that populates over to other platforms?
That is a very good question. So the part that I would love to see when technology now expand every day with the use of AI is the auto tagging of defect and be able to generate defect. And it's normally, the technology is there, but the 360 picture, as you know, is a spherical image. It's not like a standard picture. So the picture get deformed. So the AI needs more time to identify defect. And also construction is so bespoke that doesn't really, it's not a defect, it's always the same, up and in different phase. And also has to be related to the timing of the construction program. If you walk today around the site and the ceiling that's not being closed, it's not because of the defect, because tomorrow maybe the MEP contractor is coming to finish something and after the ceiling is closed. So having also the relationship with the construction program is a fundamental part to get false positive. So the part that really I would love to see is the integration and much deeper integration with AI quality control and the construction program to be able to identify a defect automatically, and that is a real defect. It's not something that has been left incomplete on purpose because it has to be complete in a few weeks' time. Yeah.
So in other words, the ability to go, right, that thing in the schedule has been marked as complete, but we're flagging that it's not complete, which I imagine is quite a difficult thing because there could easily be another activity in the schedule representing the finishing of it somewhere. And I can imagine you get false positives all over the shop.
Yeah, so I believe that linking the quality control is with the tracking program is one of the key elements that can definitely help our industry to build better. So not manually go and check for defect, but having a system that help you bringing the effect to you and be speed up with the resolution of all those issues.
What about the types of projects that are and contractors that are adopting it more assertively than others? I think a lot of the examples that I've seen around tend to be building contractors or large commercial contractors. Are you seeing? Do you see it happening much in infrastructure, or
especially linear
and what's the overlap with drones?
Yes, that is the other part. In infrastructure, initially there was a doubt if this technology could have worked in infrastructure. It definitely worked. We have seen cases where 360 camera mounted on top of the car with a very slow drive around 3-4 miles an hour, capturing miles and miles of linear project. And we have seen that and it worked amazingly. We were surprised. But then you have the overlap with the drone. So where is useful for? So I feel that the use of drone in terms of photogrammetry is really useful for cut and fill, like getting certain digital information to create a digital 3D model output from your capture. Something that on the 360 capture, you are not creating this kind of digital twin because it doesn't generate a model. So it's not a photogrammetry. So I see an overlap. Depends on what the general contractor or the project wants to track. So if they're more interested about the cut and fill and generating a 3D model from the photogrammetry, definitely the drone is the right way to use it. But also we have case where maybe close to an airport or certain limitation, the use of the drone is very hard to have. So going back to a reality capture, adding the camera on top of the car and slowly driving on a side, it definitely helped. We have seen case where adding on top of the bike, because it was wide, not as wide the side to use a car, but they add on the bike, and they add on the helmet, on the car. We have seen many cases where the use of reality capture and 360 cameras being pushed boundary in many different cases.
Yeah, right. Because I think what I see from most infrastructure projects is like they're definitely using things like a propeller, and the engineers are in propeller every single day doing stuff. And then they're all putting up cameras across the site in kind of static camera positions and documenting there. And whenever I go and meet someone or go to dinner, every 5 minutes through the dinner, they're looking at the cameras across the site to see what's happening. In terms of, I think of a lot of projects like a road or a rail project. There might be one section of the project that benefits from kind of like the drone type capture, but then you have a bridge or something where the handheld is more appropriate. And other than drone deploy, which of the products have the ability to kind of do both? And do people have an issue with using two different platforms to do the reality capture?
So in terms of doing both solution, drone deploy, I would believe is one of the only one that can do both. Because all the other 360 solutions that we mentioned before, they are fully focused on 360 cameras. We have case that now there is a 360 camera dedicated for DJI drone. So you can mount a 360 camera on a drone and use it on the same platform that you currently using the normal Autospace or build
the normal handheld
platform.
Yeah.
So instead of be handheld, you put on a drone. And it basically replaces, instead of walking, you put on a drone, but doesn't give you the possibility to do cut and fill and create a digital model and some photogrammetry. It's just a different way to capture. In terms of having both a full photogrammetry from the drones and the 360, currently I see drone deploy to be the top of the market in that solution. And I also want to add, depends what is the target. I'm very big fan of static camera when, for example, there is a very long field view and something that has to be checked. But if you need to check something very in detail, very hardly with a static camera you'll be able to go in detail, zoom in, something that is a kilometer far. And I always say that we have so many people walking around sites for many different reasons. Just grabbing a camera and adding on top of your helmet, it doesn't give you an additional task. You just basically add the camera and do your day-to-day work. It's not an additional task that should be taken to record the site. That is where I see the opportunity where we have so many people just grab a camera and walk around the site.
Walk around, Do you see that the direction of travel is that and this is, sorry, Carlos, this will be my last question. Sorry. Do you see that the direction of travel, Marco, is that platforms do this kind of consolidation where they start competing on the ability to be the all-in-one reality capture, or do you think that that's not as important as getting good handheld AI schedule update integration? Where do you see the value being added?
a platform in general, I'm not just talking about 360, that wants to do everything, is going to start losing quality in other parts. So I feel that if you have a very good core capability in one part and you try to become jack of all trades, whatever you're going to add is not going to be your core capability, it's not going to be as good as the other part. So I feel that more integration between different technology will be more useful to use the core capability of each one and be able to integrate technology in a much easier way rather than becoming a technology that does everything. Many technologies have tried in general and not everyone has been successful. So I feel that there is that risk from technology that want to do everything and they become probably worse in the core product to try to build and put more resources in terms of development team in the other part. So I feel more about collaboration across different technology integration would be the right key.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I think that's the right way to think about it. Sorry, Carlos, you had a question.
Yeah, sorry. Looping back to the conversation just before, I was in part of a call the other day where the team were discussing how they were going to capture image on a particular site. And they were going for the sort of static camera option. And they immediately had the issue that you just said, which is the range of vision and how accurate it is at distance. Has anyone attached, are the drones just doing like a daily flyby, or can you now have them like hover over site to give the live feed like the cameras do?
I don't feel that that's the right.
That's a quantity surveyor question. That is.
I didn't ask the question at the time, but I was sat there thinking that's a really good idea. Is that not possible? Is it?
I think they've got like a two hour battery life or something on there, Carlos.
Other than the battery, flying drones it's become recently very strict in terms of regulation. So you have many tools that do the self-piloting, so you don't pilot yourself, you just set up the path.
It hovers.
And the drone hovers by themselves, but the pilot always need to be present to oversee the process. So you're going to have a person just looking all day the drone. Yeah. So I would not go in that direction. I will probably look at different technologies or more cameras in different angles or go on a 360 solution.
Okay. Yeah, Jason, I won't join the product team then. Maybe my ideas.
No, but I've definitely got some cameras to sell you if you're buying, Carlos.
I might prove it first. Right. That is definitely all we have time for today. Marco, thank you very much for joining us today. That was a really good conversation, I thought.
Yeah, that was a very good conversation. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you, guys. Really love the time with you.
Thanks. And thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We are trying to pull information from any listeners at the moment in terms of what episodes or discussions you'd like us to have in the future. So please do feed that back. It does help inform what our sort of roadmap of episodes looks like. So yeah,
what do you have to say? You have to say link in the show notes, Carlos, to a survey.
Ollie's gonna have a go at me now. There is a link in the show notes, but please do pass back your feedback. We really do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.